Excellent. Welcome. So today is Monday, January 5th. Obviously, it's kind of the first full week of trading that is occurring, right, of this new year, right, 2026. So first off, this is the USDTD chart. I'm going to start with the yearly because, as you guys know, we close this yearly, right? Um, and you want to start top down for everything, and including the high time frame. So the yearly we did just open, right? We have 11 months left on this yearly candle. The question is, what do we actually move, past this yearly order block? That's about 5.7, right? 5.71. And then a lot of the quarterly order blocks are around the same, like the same range, between 5.7 to 5.4, roughly to 5.2. So this range here, it's going to be a little choppy, right? It's going to be between 5 and 5.7. It's going to be choppy because there's a lot of high time frame confluences there that will represent some sort of reaction when we start to see USDTD move in that direction. So in the short term, though, right, we're talking weekly, daily, below. We did not wick this high. We didn't actually create a higher high from this weekly at 6.7. So one thing that's indicative to me of is that we are still likely to make a higher high because we made a higher low already back in August of last year, right? August, from the previous low of December 2024 to August, that was a higher low. So really, what does this mean in the short term? I think in the short term, what we're going to see this year, between now and I will put a little line in here to the end of the year, right? The red one there, is that this range is going to be basically our dealing range, right? I think we're going to see a lot of choppiness this year. So prepare yourselves for that. It's not going to be pretty. Everyone thinks it might be pretty and the new year is great, but I'm going to be pessimistic here because I would expect us to be in this dealing range, if not all year, probably most of this year. Probably most, because again, the high time frame, it's gonna end up moving between these two ranges over the course of this year. So I would expect something like this, where we kind of move down, we see some sort of push, right, into kind of like into May, springtime. We see kind of like a bullish push. But the thing with this is that, considering the yearly and the quarterly and the monthly and everything else, is still showing us that we're actually still bullish, right, on USDTD. I'd actually expect this to be what ends up being shortable if we can't break this low, right? If we can't break this low again, what's going to happen? It's just going to ping pong right back up, right? So that's kind of what I would expect. And I think I wanted to see 7.3 tapped earlier, but it never did, right? We never actually wicked that low. So I have to wait, unfortunately. I'm going to move this over slightly, but I kind of want to see this. I still really want to see the 7.3 and the 7.7, 7.8 tapped. But over this weekly, I would expect us to still be incredibly choppy this year, right? Where you see pushes, like bullish pushes up, like impulse moves, as a characteristic of the monthly, of the weekly, going down, but with the expectation that those impulse moves might not actually drive prices to new all-time highs, right? So an example of that, let's go into, I'll look at a couple and I'll show you what I mean by that exactly, and we can drill down. But there's really two that come to mind. I'm going to clean this chart up just a little bit so we can kind of get where I'm getting at. Bitcoin, obviously, is the obvious one, but the non-obvious one here is Solana, and I'll get to that one after this. But with Bitcoin specifically, I drew this up again in November of last year. It's following my pathing quite nicely, right? I want to see Bitcoin shift flip this daily, hold the 705, flip these daily order blocks over here back from March of last year. We did not make a lower low on the weekly, but the daily already broke structure, right? The daily broke structure bearish, but everything higher time frame than the daily, like the weekly and the monthly and the quarterly, has not broken structure yet. So what does this mean? I think really we're starting to see the higher time frames drift down to the lower time frames yet again, and this yearly candle that's basically being built out right now, right? I'll go to the back to the yearly. We're going to see this yearly candle be built out, but retest the previous yearly candle, fail to make a higher high on the quarterly and the weekly, right? These quarterly order blocks here, very crisp. Look at how crisp that is right there. Right at the 602, 705. We're going to tap those this year, right? I would expect Bitcoin to go back into the 106 range, 112, 115. But, big but here, I would expect us to not make a higher high this year. If we do not make a higher high, guess what? That just means we're going back down, all the way down to 60, all the way down to 40. So, big thing to keep in mind here is this year we watch for the break of 100K, 108. Once we get past 108, and we want to watch carefully between 108 and 115. If we can see structure break for a higher high, great. If not, I would be incredibly bearish, and I'll put a little line here. I'm going to clean this chart up a little bit. I know I have way too many lines here. Really, what I want to see here is this: the two yellow lines, and specifically the horizontal ones, the 108 100 and the 115 700 roughly. If the weekly trades into that range and then closes underneath that range, that is very indicative that we can make a strong prediction against it being bullish in the high time frame, and we will see 2026, 2027 Bitcoin possibly back down to 60 to 40, right? 60K, 40K. So one thing to keep in mind here is that's one. Solana, as I said, I was going to go into that one as well. And then again, I want to leave some time for you guys to ask your questions. If you guys have questions or coins you want me to check out, we can dig into those next. Happy to go into those. But same thing happened with Solana, right? We actually failed. We did take this high once, right? We took this high once from here. But since then, right? Since then, back in January of last year, we actually broke the low, right? So what does that mean? Now price structure on the weekly, the higher time frames, has shifted bearish. So what we need to do is we need to you go with the expectation that it's proven until guilty. I forgot the legal term, but basically it's like you expect it to be bearish because it, as of now, the quarterly and the higher time frames have proven to be bearish. So until it can make a higher high against 250, then really you would expect that any move up from this point forward is going to be bearish, right? It's going to be impulsive, but it's going to be bearish, right? So same thing here. I would expect Solana to do the exact same thing that Bitcoin would be doing. And as you can see in my chart, I would want to have this move all the way up this year, probably around May, right? We want to see above 200 on Solana. Innocent until proven guilty. CryptoDoc, thank you. Yes, innocent until proven guilty. So in this case, innocent, where structure is showing on the high time frames, yes, it is straight up. This is a lower low that it's made, multiple lower lows, right? Look at that. So until it can prove itself bullish again and make a higher high against 250, 253 specifically, right? That red line here. And I'll put this one, I'll make this red, actually red right up there. Until we can break 253, this entire structure has already been proven to be innocent, right? It's proven to be bearish because we did break this structure back here, back in April. And then not only did we just break it, but we supported we supported the bearish delivery of it after tapping the bearish fibs of that range, the 602, the 705, and the 79, right? So, and not only that, but then we broke this low again, right? Yes, we didn't break this one, but we broke this one already. All that's going to happen now is it's going to retest the previous range, right? This previous range right up here, it's going to retest it. So, which is right basically between 190 to 224, right? Roughly. It'll be clear once we get there, we watch price structure more carefully. It'll be much clearer to see um, where it'll be topping off, right? And where we should start looking for shorts, where we start looking for shorts to hold heavy. Because what I want to try and do is short this again. I think I called out the short a while ago, didn't hold it, but whatever. It's this, you know, if it pumps from here, it's giving us a second chance. So come like May, you know, springtime, I would expect it to be back in the range of the 200, right? 190 to 220, where where I want to look for shorts. Obviously, in the meantime, right, that just means, okay, well, we're bullish now. And I would expect this to continue. I would, for almost every single coin, literally almost all of them are showing the same signature here, where we have multiple wicks down and then closures right in range. So all we need to do now is on the lower time frames, like the hourly and the 4 hour, right? All we need to do is break these highs, right? So for Solana, for example, we break 145. What does that mean? It's going to re-range. It's going to go right back to 135. So I'll put this in a little diagram here so you guys can see what I mean. I'm going to just arbitrarily use like one of the lows from the previous order blocks down here. Let's say we go to 150, right? So hypothetically speaking, if we go to 150 and we break that high at 150, or sorry, we break that high at 146 into 150, I would expect us to retrace to eventually continue, right? So basically follow yellow or teal in this range. It is going to be bullish, right? I would almost say this is the bottom, right? In the sense of from this point onward, right, to about April, May, I'd expect to have bullish delivery on the daily and below. But one thing to worry about is come springtime, when everyone's snow's melted, right? That's when I would worry about any longs, any spot bags, etc. So until then, what I'm doing is actually I haven't posted anything recently yet because I've been quite sick over the break, but I will try and get back into the swing of things because I know you guys appreciate my trade posts as well. But one thing that I did take in recently was Pi. I think I mentioned this in my previous stream if you guys were around. Pi is one of those coins that already proved to be bullish delivery right now, right? So if I actually, let me switch to spot chart. I think was it the spot chart that yes, here it is. So for Pi, for example, right, we already back in October, we already broke this high. We didn't break this high quite yet, but we broke this high, and then we failed to make we made a higher low here. But if anything, we are still retaining this higher low. This low down here has not been broken, right? We did do two sweeps, and now all we need to do is hold this range, right? Keep holding this range. Even if we break this low again, it doesn't matter, right? Even if we go down to here, it doesn't matter still. All that matters, if you were to put a stop, my stop is at around 15 cents. If this low breaks, then I would assume the entire structure is broken and isn't going to be bullish delivery. However, in terms of structure, we've already had daily and weekly breaks. So what I want to see now is just holding this range. Even if we just chop around here and just do nothing, that would be amazing. Because by the time March comes around, I'd expect this to be above 20 cents. I would expect this to be above 22 cents. And if we start making daily closures and weekly closures on the 22 cents, one of the things with this is that this structure here is incredibly thin, all the way down on the daily, starting from about 34 cents, right? Starting from about 34. So once we break 22, and then once we break 28, what's going to happen here is the impulse is going to basically shoot all the way up real fast, right? And probably sometime later this year, right? Sometime in like April, May, when we see, well, as I was saying, right, we'll see some sort of very strong impulsive pump come this spring. When that pump happens, Pi, I think, is going to be one of those coins that pumps incredibly far in terms of of just actual price delta, right? So from where we are now, from even just like one of these ranges, that's like a 270% move, right? So I'm in this now. My average is 20 cents. My sizing is currently about like 2 to 3% of my account, like 2.5 on 15x. Yeah, pretty decently sized. Nothing but, not like super heavy or in degen mode, but decently sized enough, where, let's see, if my TP for this one is going to be on the weekly, probably in the daily and the weekly. So I want to aim for at least the daily break of 29. So I'm going to do 29 here. And then the other one is, I think, right above. I don't have it labeled. I'll put this right here. It should be labeled. Right below this one, it'd be 67, because it's going to slice through all of these pretty quickly. And then after that, it's just a trail, trail stop, like trail up, right? I'm going to do one TP at the 29, and then one TP at the 67. After that, then just trail your stop up and then just let it ride, because right now my average is 20 cents. If you can get it anything under 22 cents, you're probably in good shape. But again, the sizing for this one will probably end up just being to hard stop. If you want to do hard stop at 15 cents or around 15 cents, that's already a good RR trade. That's like a nine RR trade right there, right? So, and you can add, this is one of those easy ones, right? I love easy trades because I'm so busy, but like you just add to it right when we start consolidating. If we consolidate above 22, I'm probably gonna add to it. Like I don't even care bringing my average up. I'm probably just gonna add to it. No, not too late to enter. As I said, like just keep your stop. Keep your stop at 15 cents or like around 15.4, right? Because I would expect it to be either a consolidation now or consolidation around 21 to 22. So anywhere under 22 is perfectly valid. So yeah, that's one. I'll give you guys one more, and actually want to take some questions as well. I have Casper, another one, and I also have XCH. I'm still holding on to XCH. I think I mentioned this to you guys. But Casper is another one which is going to have probably another pretty strong impulse here once March, April, May comes up. If we can start making daily closures back in range again, 0.006, also really good. We are very close to something like that, but this is still a little early. Like it's showing signs of life, but if anything, if you're taking this one, just size for zero. Literally, it's that simple. Just size for the expectation that this is going to zero, right? But what's great about this is that these relative equal highs, are going to be shredded through. Once we get that impulse I'm talking about, these are going to be shredded through like nobody's business. So I'm going to probably be trailing on my stop here. I have TP at 24 and then at 6.5. So if this holds this weekly range as well, sizing for this for me is about 1.5% on 10x, right? So slightly smaller, because I'm sizing for zero, right? I'm literally putting my stop loss at zero effectively, expecting this to go to zero. So it's one of those, I would almost call it like a lottery play. Not really a lottery because, not really gambling here, but like the fundamentals of Casper I really love as well. Last one is XCH, and then if you guys want to post in chat, I will take some requests as well. And yes, let's do ETH real quick. So XCH as well. This XCH wicked its low. This is one of those that I also really, really love. If we can hold this range as well, this is another one that's going to be pretty interesting. If we can make any closures this month back in range above 5, which we're pretty much almost there. Quarterly, same thing. Yearly, same thing. So we're getting close there. We already wicked this low, so there's really not much liquidity left to take. unless this just consolidates in this range, which it'll probably end up consolidating a little bit at like 4.7. But the real thing to note is once we break 5.1, that'll be the thing to note, right? Because this liquidity here is going to be incredibly smooth as well. And then it will, once we start moving past 7 to 11, this is when the range starts to get interesting. Because we make a daily closure back in range, a weekly closure back in range, because the next move up will probably just be reconsolidations at a higher range, right? Because after that point, it will confirm that the all-time low will be in. But I just want to wait. I mean, I'm still in this. Let's see, my average is $5.04. So even if you got in now and sized for 0, that's also fine. I love these coins where you can basically just say, size for 0, add to it, and then just don't do anything, right? Because the range on these are so massive that you'd be fine no matter what happens. So like being able to set yourself up for success there. And then cool, let's take a look at your request. So let's do ETH, and then I have a request. Thank you, Sir Jacob the second, to look at H bar, UU. Let's do ETH. One thing with ETH here, actually, this is actually quite nice. I do like ETH structure only because we did support the bullish delivery already. So this is bullish already. So 6.2, it tapped 6.2. It bounced on this order block right there. Look at that. It reconsolidated slightly higher, right? So we have a high and a low that's reconsolidating slightly higher than the previous consolidation. Right now, the only order blocks ahead of us are the ones around the 3.5 to the 3.9, right? So on the weekly side, very promising for ETH that this could potentially just be the low, right? It could be the low. The weekly, we literally only have like one super, super, super tiny untapped liquidity down there. And that's really the only one that's left here, and I'll leave that open, right? This is around what is it, 1.7? Yeah. So, and the thing to note is, market makers, they don't do these things on like they don't do this randomly. This is not random, right? This level will get tapped at a certain point in time. Whether or not, this is now going to be the range where it's going to be dealing from, right? So if I clear this from here, we took this high. If we apply the same methodology that I was telling you about before, and we say, okay, well, assume this is going to be a bearish until proven bullish on the high, then the expectation would be that we reject from our bearish OTEs of this range, right? So I'll even mark this even cleaner, right? We have these yellow range here between this low. I'll make this down here. Oops, right there. That's the low right there, between that low and then around this high, which is like, that order block right here. And I'll change this color just so you guys can see right now. So basically we want to see the range move from the weekly back up and reconsolidate to above 4,000, right? Only to see a failure of a higher high and then a closure of a weekly under the previous range order block, right? And then at which point that would confirm the bearish delivery back down, right? So I'd expect this to happen sometime this year, right? Sometime this year where we see this push up to, May, June, and then come springtime, look to sell, right? Look to short, because going into the end of the year again will end up being bearish until we can tap this range and then reconsolidate and then recreate possibly either a higher low, which we have not made yet, right? This is, I mean, technically this is a higher low right now, but again, the thing about this is that we did take the high, right? We took this high already. So I'm like skeptical until, again, I'm skeptical until we can clear this high, right? Until we can clear the 4.8 / 5,000 level. And until we do, I would expect that any move up into the 4,000 range should be shorted, right? Should be shorted for this range alone. Once we get into that range alone, then we can look for reconsolidations to long against range lows after we break this low, right? The 2.58. We break the 2.58, we'll probably see some longs, and then again, another one possibly down at the 1.7, if not lower, right? So hopefully that answers your question on ETH. I'm going to do H bar, and then let's jump into, and then actually, I think I need to run in a few minutes anyway. So let's do H bar, and then we can go from there. H bar, yes, okay. So H bar actually looks pretty, it's a little different than others, which is kind of cool. Considering that we do have weekly lows and a weekly order block, two of them, and we did wick this low. So this low already was supported, and all we need is this range now. So if I'm going to just say, okay, well, assuming we're going to be bullish from this range and then bearish to the range high on the weekly, let's go back down to the daily. No problem. You're welcome anytime. I would expect again the same thing to happen. So our levels to beat would be on the daily, right? I'll make this orange so it's clear. It would be this one, the 20-cent mark, right? 20-cent mark on H bar. So when we see consolidation from here, I would expect the same thing, right? Some sort of consolidation, whether it chops around, the 12 to the 10, doesn't matter. But the point being is it's going to eventually make its way up here, up to 18, right? 17, 18. Now, the interesting thing, though, is that what happens here will define whether or not we break this low again, or we just reconsolidate and then flip 16 cents, right? So I'll mark this out in two different colors, right? We have 1, and then we have 2. That's the break, right? If we don't break it, then structurally, all we'll need to look for is the previous range balances, which is around the 18 cents mark, and then some sort of trail, right? Some sort of trail down. And I'll say that's orange if we don't break it, and this is green if we do break it, right? With the key aspect to look for when we're actually checking for this trade would be the break of 18, 19, 20 cents during the month of March to May, right? Between that range. It's a very wide range because I'm approximating here, but basically somewhere in this range, it's going to go up above 17. We want to see how it reacts above 17, between 18 to 19, and then whether or not it can break 20 cents. If it breaks 20 cents, we will probably see a retrace and then a continuation, because this weekly closure below yellow here is the key the key levels to flip, right? Because those are equal lows we swept already. This is what we refer to as a smart money reversal. In SMR, we have 2 of them. We have 1 there. We also have 2 here, right? Right there on the daily. So this liquidity is very smooth. So this impulse, we could push really, really high. If we break this range, then that's amazing. Great, perfect. But I would be bullish here, right? Right now, from this point on H bar, I would be bullish, but with the expectation that it's going to be choppy, right? It'll probably go back up from like 13 to possibly 11. If we go down to the hourly real quick, right? Something around that range. I want to see some break here, a break of 13, retrace down to like 11, and then a reconsolidation back up, right? So that's kind of what I would expect from most coins. And all of these coins are very, very similar in their trajectory as they're moving right now. So cool. Let me take a quick look at your last questions there, and then I need to run. Let's see. Are those coins Pi, Casper, XCH good to spot bag? Yeah, Pi, Casper, XCH, go for it. I actually run it on futures, but I low size them, right? So you can, if you size them enough, you will not get liquidated, even if price goes down to 0 or goes very close to 0, right? If you size it with your account correctly. So you should, if you want to take it on futures, take it on futures. If you want to take it on spot, take it on spot. But yeah, XCH, all of those are good. It's just one of those things that it's going to be a hold, right? As I said, you go with the expectation that into this year, it's going to be bullish. So I like my forward thinking here is I would expect a bullish early Q1 of 2026. However, I would expect a consolidation and a shift bearish into Q2 and Q3 of 2026. So just keep that in mind, right? The further we get into 2026, the more bearish I would probably tune myself. Excellent. So any news on ski or other base memes? Honestly, dude, I don't really follow memes too much. I'm very old school. Like I do a little bit of memes, but not my forte is on like raw L1s, right? All L1 alts. Another reason why I really like XCH and Casper because they're L1 chains that are kind of under the radar. And I would but the technology around them, and I'm an engineer myself, so like I kind of work with things like this all the time. So like the technology around them is phenomenal. But there's obviously plenty of other great coins out there that have great technology. But yeah, I've always kind of had a soft spot for XCH and Casper or Chia really, Chia and Casper. Um, but yeah, hopefully that answered your questions. My virtual door is always open. You can DM me. I'm super busy most of the time, so apologies if I don't respond to you immediately. But you can always tag me in chat. I'll see if I can get to it. Or you can ask in my channel, right? So if you have questions there. But yeah, I'll see if we can get back into the swing of it for this year. I'll see if I can post some of my trades, what I pick up, my sizing and everything in my channel. And yeah, well, I'll catch you guys next week and we can go from there. Happy 2026 and stay green.